three quarters of trash. The offense was trash. The defense was trash. There has to be some fight back. If they're going to allow that kind of physicality, my team has to step up and match that physicality, period. One team is physical and one team is not. One team is 3 steps behind and one team is not. They got all the 50-50 ball. I mean, they busted our ass in every kind of way, Michael. There's just no two bones about it. It's one of the worst games I've ever seen.
The Las Vegas Aces, the team that was supposed to be dynasty material, the squad that was built to three-peat, just got absolutely demolished by the Indiana Fever. And we're not talking about a close game here. We're talking about an 81-54 beatdown that was so ugly, so embarrassing, so completely one-sided that even Becky Hammond couldn't sugarcoat what just happened.
Becky Hammond and the Aces. There is a complete lack of professionalism and a complete lack of focus. I don't know how you step on a court with 20,000 people in the stands and perform like that. That's crazy. They're shooting layups. I thought they were grabbing and holding us. It's a rugby match and my team doesn't want to play rugby back. They get their ass kicked. Oh my God. And to be fair, the referees were letting the Ace away with a lot. They were letting the Ace away with a lot. If I knew which one was coming, I could prepare myself better. Tonight, we put a third quarter together, and after that 3 quarters of trash, the offense was trash, the defense was trash. And we had one person score more than 2 field goals, and that was AJ Wilson. They just wanted more than us.
27 points? 27, that's not a loss. That's a public execution. The Fever didn't just beat the Aces, they humiliated them in front of 20,000 people at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And here's the kicker. They did it without Caitlin Clark. The superstar rookie was sitting on the bench with a groin injury, and Indiana still made the 2-time defending champions look like a high school JV team.
Indiana Fever beat the Las Vegas Aces 81-54 by 27 points. We held the Minnesota Lynx to 59. We follow that up, holding the Las Vegas Aces to 54 points. This was a team win. This was a complete win. Offensively, they did what they needed to do. Defensively, they were hounds defensively. Attacking everything. Pressure on ball, pressure off ball. Diving for...
But this isn't just about one bad game. This is about a franchise that's falling apart faster than you can say dynasty over. The Aces are now 8-9 on the season. Let that sink in. 8 wins, 9 losses. This is a team that won back-to-back championships in 2022 and 2023. This is a team with Asia Wilson, a 3-time MVP who dropped 29 points and still couldn't prevent this massacre.
As a coach, what team you're getting on any given night, you have to come with your engine started. We would have won 5 or 6 more games if we just played harder. That is awful. That is awful. Like, the Aces, saying they would have won 5 or 6 more games is kind of crazy, considering the fact that they are 8-9. So she's basically trying to say, let's just say winning 6 games. So they go 14-3. She was saying if they'd worked harder, they'd be 14-3. I mean, I wouldn't be out there saying that. I wouldn't be out here saying that, you know, oh, we just got outworked today, because, I mean, like, you lost to the Valkyries by 30. Like, you've lost to the Valkyries by 30, and you lost to the Fever by 30.
And Becky Hammond, she was livid, absolutely furious. When the reporters asked her about this performance, she didn't hold back, not even a little bit. The head coach of a professional basketball team told the world that her players practiced harder than they played in an actual game, in front of 20,000 people, against a team missing its biggest star. That's not just embarrassing, that's career-defining levels of shame.
Coach, I asked Asia this as well, but what do you even say to your team after a showing like this one? I'd imagine, like, I know you believe that your team is kind of better than what you saw on the court tonight. What do you say after something like this?
There's not a whole lot to say. That's a complete lack of professionalism to come in here with that effort. Complete lack of focus. They played harder yesterday in practice by a lot. Wasn't even close. So I don't know how you step onto the floor with 20,000 people in the stands and perform like that. That's one of the worst it is the worst offensive night I've ever seen, as far as I've been here in the last 4 years.
She called it the worst offensive night in 4 years. 4 years that include 2 championships and multiple deep playoff runs. And this performance against Indiana without Clark was somehow worse than anything they've ever put on the court. But here's where it gets really spicy. Let's talk about what actually happened during this game, because the numbers tell a story that's even uglier than Hammond's post-game comments.
It feels good. Out of all of the non-Caitlin Clark games, this was by far a game where I felt the best about this team. Of all the non-Caitlin Clark games, this was the game I felt the best about this team. They shared the ball. We had, 24 assists on 31 shots. That's a good number. Inside, mid-range game, Kelsey Mitchell, mid-range came alive, took it to the rack. Couldn't really get going from the three-point line anybody other than Kelsey Mitchell. Ary McDonald, quality minutes from Ary McDonald on the defensive end, on the offensive end. 8 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Folks, let's get right into it, shall we? The Indiana Fever beat up the Las Vegas Aces. Beat up, folks.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. The Aces shot 26.2% from the field. 26.2%. A'ja Wilson went 9 of 18, which is respectable. But the rest of the team was 7 of 43. 7 made shots out of 43 attempts from everyone not named A'ja Wilson. That's 16.3% shooting from the supporting cast. Jackie Young, who's supposed to be a reliable scorer, managed 6 points. 6. Jewel Lloyd, the big offseason acquisition who was brought in to replace Kelsey Plum, scored 2 points. Chelsea Gray, the veteran point guard who's supposed to run the offense, also managed 2 points. This wasn't just a bad shooting night. This was a complete systemic breakdown.
I thought they were grabbing and holding us. It's a rugby match and my team doesn't want to play rugby back. They get their ass kicked. Oh my God. And to be fair, the referees were letting the Ace away with a lot. They were letting the Ace away with a lot. If I knew which one was coming, I could prepare myself better. Tonight, we put a third quarter together, and after that 3 quarters of trash, the offense was trash, the defense was trash. And we had one person score more than 2 field goals, and that was A'ja Wilson. They just wanted more than us. I agree. I stand by that. It's really hard to know as a coach what team you're getting on any given night. You have to come with your engine started. We would have won 5 or 6 more games if we just played harder. That is awful. That is awful. Like, the Aces, saying they would have won 5 or 6 more games is kind of crazy, considering the fact that they are 8 and 9. So she's basically trying to say, let's just say winning 6 games. So they go 14 and 3. She was saying if they'd worked harder, they'd be 14 and 3. I mean, I wouldn't be out there saying that. I wouldn't be out here saying that, we just got outworked today, because, I mean, like, you lost to the Valkyries by 30. Like, you've lost to the Valkyries by 30, and you lost to the Fever by 30.
And defensively? Oh, don't even get me started on the defense. The Fever scored 81 points while shooting 49.2% from the field. They had 24 assists compared to the Aces' 12. They out-rebounded Las Vegas 45-38. They turned the ball over 5 fewer times. This was a team that got outworked, outfought, and outplayed in every single way. Hammond wasn't done with her post-game assessment. When asked about the defensive issues, she got even more brutal. They were in the paint downhill layups all night. I thought they were grabbing and holding us, so it's a rugby match. My team doesn't want to play rugby, so we get our ass kicked. A rugby match. That's how the head coach described what the Fever did to her team. Physical, aggressive, relentless. Everything the Aces weren't. And when your coach is saying your team doesn't want to play physical basketball in the WNBA, you've got problems that go way beyond X's and O's.
Guys, when did Indiana Fever turn into the best defensive team in the NBA? When? I mean, after that celebration from the Commissioner's Cup, we all thought they were going to come out here a little bit hangover. I mean, their defensive prowess has gone up 100%. In the first half, we have Aces down 22 points. We have only beaten Las Vegas Aces one time in 9 years. For those who do not know that statistic, we've only beaten them once in 9 years. Their defense is impenetrable. We have 28 points in the paint for the second quarter. We're shooting 90% from the field in the second quarter. This is insane.
But here's what makes this loss even more devastating. This Indiana Fever team is just getting started. They snapped a 16-game losing streak against the Aces that dated back to 2019. 16 games. The Fever hadn't beaten Las Vegas since August 27, 2019. And they didn't just end the streak, they obliterated it. Let's talk about what this Fever team did without their superstar. Kelsey Mitchell dropped 25 points and 6 assists. Aaliyah Boston put up 20 points and 7 rebounds. Ary McDonald, who was brought in on a hardship contract and has now become an absolute revelation, finished with 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists with a plus 26. That means the Fever outscored the Aces by 26 points when McDonald was on the floor.
CC gang! Fever gang! Down goes the punk-ass Las Vegas Aces, everybody! Kelsey Mitchell, the road runner, out there dropping daggers with a 25-piece. Boston Market with the rotisserie chicken, baked beans, corn on the cob, mashed potatoes, every drink available. The tiny assassin, Ary McDonald, out there slicing through the defense, getting buckets. Asia crybaby ass Wilson, hold this L. You ain't nothing but a free throw merchant, goofy. Indiana Fever, that's how y'all ball. I don't know what's going on right now, but y'all got the momentum. We can't wait till Caitlin Clark is back on the floor.
And speaking of Ary McDonald, let's give this woman her flowers. She's been everything the Fever could have asked for. Since stepping into the starting lineup while Clark recovers, McDonald has been the spark plug that's ignited this team's defense. Aaliyah Boston said it perfectly after the game. We told her in the game, we said, we're just thankful for you. I just think about her impact. You see it, even just looking at the plus/minus, like plus 26, Ary's impact, whether it's scoring, but it's defending, it's getting us into offense, it's making the right reads, making the right pass. I think she's just been the perfect missing piece for us. The perfect missing piece. That's what Boston called McDonald. And you know what? She's absolutely right. This Fever team without Clark has been playing inspired basketball. They won the Commissioner's Cup just 2 days before this game, beating the league-leading Minnesota Lynx 74-59. They held the Lynx to a season low in points, and then they turned around and held the Aces to their lowest scoring output of the season.
Ary a lot, but what does it say about her that she's able to come in again and still be this impactful?
That's what we said to her. We told her at the game, we said, we're just thankful for you. We thank God for you every single day. I just think her impact, you see it. Even just looking at the plus minus, like plus 26. Like Ary's impact, whether it's scoring, but it's defending, it's getting us into offense, it's making the right reads, making the right pass. I think she's just been the perfect missing piece for us.
This is a team that's figuring out its identity, and that identity is defensive suffocation. Under Stephanie White, the Fever are becoming the kind of team that can lock you down and make you miserable for 40 minutes. They're physical, they're relentless, and they're playing with the kind of chip on their shoulder that championship teams are built on. But let's get back to Becky Hammond's epic meltdown, because she wasn't finished delivering truth bombs. One team is fickle, and one team is not, she said, clearly referring to her own squad. One team is 3 steps behind, one team is not. They got all the 50/50 balls. They busted our ass in every kind of way. There's just no bones about it. It's one of the worst games I've ever seen. They busted our ass in every kind of way. When your head coach is using language like that in a press conference, you know the situation is dire. This wasn't coach speak or diplomatic damage control. This was a woman who had just watched her championship caliber team get completely embarrassed by a team that most people still consider a work in progress.
Be some fight back. If they're going to allow that kind of physicality, my team has to step up and match that physicality.
I knew it.
Period.
I knew she was going.
So we just get, because one team is fickle and one team is not. One team is 3 steps behind and one team is not. They got all the 50/50 ball. I mean, they busted our ass in every kind of way. There's no two bones about it. It's one of the worst games I've ever seen.
And here's the thing that should terrify every other team in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is coming back. The The Fever just did this without their all-star captain. They just held the defending champions to 54 points without their best player. They just snapped a 16-game losing streak without the rookie sensation who's been breaking records left and right. Imagine if she was playing, and Fever could have been in triple figures for the scoreboard while the Aces would have just been getting over the 50-point mark. That's not hyperbole. That's a realistic possibility based on what we just witnessed. Hammon acknowledged the Aces' consistency problems throughout the season. If I knew which one was coming, I could prepare myself a little bit better, she said about not knowing which version of her team would show up. We go out to Phoenix. That was the best team in the league going into that night, and we put a solid 4 quarters together. Tonight, we put a third quarter together. And other than that, 3 quarters of trash. 3 quarters of trash. The head coach called 3 quarters of her team's performance trash. The offense was trash. The defense was trash. And when you're getting that kind of assessment from your own coach, you know the problems run deep.
I think you said earlier, a couple games ago, this was a team that sometimes you saw greatness and sometimes catastrophe. Have you ever been in a situation where it seems like it is like you said, one or the other, and it's kind of hard to know which one's coming?
Yeah, I mean, if I knew which one was coming, I could prepare myself a little bit better. But we go out to Phoenix. That was the best team in the league going into that night, and we put a solid 4 quarters together. Tonight, put a third quarter together. After that, 3 quarters of trash. The offense was trash. The defense was trash. And at some point, you have to say that's a little more us than, because it's happened to multiple opponents, with us.
At some point, you have to say that's a little more us because it's happened to multiple opponents, Hammond continued. They just wanted it more than us. And I think that's the most disturbing thing, when people want it more than you, because that's effort and that's heart. Effort and heart. Those are the fundamentals that Hammond says her team is lacking. Not scheme problems, not talent deficiencies, effort and heart. Those are the basic building blocks of competitive basketball. And according to their coach, the Aces don't have them right now. The implications of this loss go way beyond just one bad game. The Aces are now 8-9 and sitting 5th in the Western Conference. They've already lost 9 games this season, 4 more than their total from last year, and 3 more than during their championship winning campaign in 2023. This isn't just a slow start. This is a fundamental identity crisis. Meanwhile, the Fever are winning half of their games for the first time since June 17. They're building momentum at exactly the right time. They're developing an identity as a defensive juggernaut that can beat you even when their best player is sidelined. And they're doing it with a supporting cast that's starting to believe they belong on the same court as championship teams.
Like, the team's bad. The team is bad. Like, we can call a spade a spade. The team is bad. And it's fine to admit that. It's fine to admit that your team is just bad. And I understand if you're Becky Hammond as a coach, you're going to get angry because your team does employ AJ Wilson. You would assume that when your team employs AJ Wilson, you're going to be cooking. When your team employs AJ Wilson, you're going to have a chance to win any game, any given game. And AJ Wilson was fantastic today. And I mean this, like if Chelsea Gray had stepped up, or if Jackie Young had stepped up, maybe, just maybe, they could have been a bit better.
Ary McDonald is averaging 11.3 points, 3.8 assists, 2.5 rebounds, and 1.3 steals in 26.8 minutes per game. Since joining the Fever, she's making a strong case to remain in the rotation even when Clark returns. This is a player who was brought in on a hardship contract and has turned into one of the most impactful role players in the league. What a player, what a team, and haters can't bear to watch this Indiana Fever team continue to progress. They're not playing around. They know what it takes, and when Caitlin Clark comes back, it's going to be even worse for other teams. A'ja Wilson, there's a new team in town. The Aces aren't good enough, while the Indiana Fever are just improving by the minute. This was a statement win that announced to the entire WNBA that the Fever are no longer content to be anyone's doormat.
This might be the most underrated move of the entire WNBA season so far. Ary McDonald deserves way more love for what she has done for the Indiana Fever. And for those of you that don't know Ary's journey so far this season, she initially was waived by the LA Sparks during their training camp. And fast forward a couple of weeks, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham both went down with injuries on the Indiana Fever, and so they signed Ary to a hardship contract. She started with the team with almost zero practice, and she immediately fit in. Her pace, her speed, her energy, her attitude, her scoring and passing ability, she immediately clicked with the team, and it did not look like she had just joined the team a couple of days ago. She was quite literally a spark, no pun intended, for the Indiana Fever.
Hammon ended her press conference with perhaps the most damning assessment of all. We would have won 5 or 6 more games if we just played harder. That's a way to flit away a season. If we just tried harder, we'd win more games. If we just tried harder. That's what it's come down to for the Las Vegas Aces, a team with championship talent that their coach believes could have 5 or 6 more wins if they simply tried harder. That's not a talent problem. That's a culture problem. That's a leadership problem. That's a championship window closing problem. The Fever are ascending while the Aces are descending, and Thursday night's massacre was just the latest proof that power is shifting in the WNBA. The defending champions look like pretenders, while the team everyone wrote off as a Caitlin Clark sideshow look like legitimate contenders. When Clark returns, this Indiana Fever team is going to be dangerous. They've proven they can win without her, they've proven they can defend at an elite level, and they've proven they have the depth and character to compete with anyone. The Aces, meanwhile, are searching for answers that their coach admits she doesn't have. This is your new reality, WNBA. The Indiana Fever are for real, and they're just getting started.